Hello, 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 Christmas Flixers. Welcome back to season 3 of Chicks on Christmas Flicks, where we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. I'm KL Brady, and I'm back again today. I'm so excited to continue breaking down the 2022 lineup with some of your favorite networks and streamers, including the Hallmarks, HBO Max, TV1, VH1, Apple TV, AMC Plus, and a couple more. So I promised you guys a review of 5 More Minutes last week, but I kind of ran out of time because I was blabbering on. So I promise I will get to that this week, and for a good reason, because, we're going to be talking about some other 5 More Minutes stuff. I'm, again, still busy. Work is still insane, but a little less insane. Hallelujah. I guess my boss has kind of figured out that, I was working super hard for the first, a little over half of the year. So thankfully, she's kind of given me a little bit of a break, which is not a break, but it's not a break, but it's a little bit of a break. So I have more time to devote to the podcast and getting my writing done, still working on my books, and then watching Christmas movies this season. I'm so excited. So I really will be able to get into a better routine with getting these podcasts out. So I'm excited about that. If you haven't already, please check out episode 2 of season 3. Or is it episode 3 of season 3? I forget which one. But anyway, I did part 1 of the network preview that covered Amazon Prime, Netflix, HGTV, NBC, CBS, and what we know about It's a Wonderful Lifetime so far. We do not know everything. They have not released their full list of movies and the premiere days and times. But I'm holding out hope that list for It's a Wonderful Lifetime will be coming out this week because of other news that I have that I will talk about in a little bit. Okay, first things first. St. Nick's shout out. As always, at the beginning of the shows, my tradition, a tradition that I love, I'd just like to give my thanks to everybody out there who, listens to me blather on about Christmas stuff, from episode to episode, that you take time out of your busy schedules, or that you squeeze me into your busy schedules and listen. Like I said, always true. I've always said that if only one person downloads the show, I'm going to be doing the show for that person. So I'm excited, but thankfully there are many more, and they're all over the globe. So I picked 5 listener locations to shout out this week. With that said, let's get started. Remember, I don't know who you are, but I know where you live. So my first location in St. Nick shoutouts today is Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you for joining Atlanta. I'm so excited to have you guys listening in. Now, I have family in Atlanta, so very well could be my family. If it's my family, hey guys, I love you. But if it's not my family, hey, I love you too. Number 2 is Westlake, Ohio, an area I'm quite familiar with as I used to attend college at the University of Akron, which I think Westlake is up in that Cleveland area, I want to say. And, so Akron's in that kind of area. So welcome, Westlake, Ohio. Yes, I was a proud Zip for a year and a half before I transferred. But awesome experience, awesome school. Okay. Number 3, Royal Oak, Michigan. Welcome, Royal Oak. Thank you so much for listening in. Number 4, home of Abbott Elementary. If you guys have watched that show is freaking hysterical. If you haven't watched it, You probably should try to find it somewhere and watch it. I think it might be on Hulu. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Philly. Love you guys. Love my Philly folks. Philly is only a couple of hours from where I live in the DC area. So it's like a 2-hour drive. And I'm really kind of hoping that I can get into some of my Christmas bucket list going up north that way. So I'm excited. And then last but not least, number 5 is Querétaro, Mexico. Okay, I know I butchered that. I'm sorry, you guys know. I had one semester of Spanish in high school or college, one of the two. But I'm old, so that was a long time ago. So I cannot remember everything, but Querétaro, Mexico. Thank you for listening in. I'm very excited to have you guys join the show. All right, now I am moving straight into some ho holiday headlines. I'm going to keep it moving today, guys, because I got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try and squeeze it in so that you guys aren't sitting in listening to, an hour show. Okay, ho holiday headlines. So, first thing I got to address, I kind of questioned whether I would address it, and then I wouldn't address it, and I would address it, and I decided I got to do what's in my heart. So, I'm going to address it. So, let me tell you something. I have seen, the tension, the hostility, the conflict, some of the mourning around Queen Elizabeth's death, right? But I felt like I had to pay my respects. Now, listen, I want you to understand that people can come from like two different places and still like understand loss, right? Okay, so I both acknowledge that there's a reason why I am an African American woman in the United States. My ancestry results came back, as I told you guys about before. I'm 80% African. I'm 10% Irish. I'm 4% English. So I'm like 14% like something that I don't even look like, right? There's no secret of how that mix happened, okay? I think we all get that, right? But at the same time, I can acknowledge, because as I was watching some of her funeral, it got me to thinking about my own grandmother's passing, who was only 2 years prior to that. And I think they passed at like the same age. So my grandmother was 96 when she passed, and the Queen's 96 when she passed. So of course, I know my relationship with my mother and my grandmother, and I was so close to her. She was like my best friend. So, loss is loss. Like, I understood that in terms of loss, right? So I can acknowledge that while, she may have been a controversial figure in history, and why she has this complicated past, and I understand that some people will not, get the justice they feel they deserve given some of the acts of the, English people and the royal family. I get all that, right? But at the same time, I can also acknowledge that she was somebody's mother. She was somebody's grandmother. She was somebody's great-grandmother. She was a godmother, And so I hope she rests in peace. And I send my condolences to everybody who loved her. And my heart goes out to everybody who feels slighted by her. Okay? Both sides. Because I'm both sides of that. Okay. So that's all I had to say about that. I want to move on, but I had to say that. Okay. Now, the next piece of news. I thought this was awesome. I was waiting on this. Actually, I thought it was going to come out like not long after Lacey's deal was announced, but now that hers is announced, I'm very excited to find out that Hallmark Media, so I told you guys last week that they changed from Crown Media to Hallmark Media. They have signed an overall deal with Allison Sweeney. I am so happy they got her locked in. Man, that made me so happy. And she is set to star in A Magical Christmas Village with Luke McFarlane and one of my favorites, that girl, Marlo Thomas. Now, if you don't know that girl, that means I have just revealed my age, and anybody who's young and that doesn't know her, well, poo on you is what I say. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No, I mean, if you're too young, but you should probably go find her shows. And Marlo Thomas was just hilarious. I never missed that girl. I'm sorry. There are things I didn't miss. I didn't miss that girl. I didn't miss like the Carol Burnett show. I also didn't miss the Flip Wilson show. And I didn't miss, Red Fox. What did he do? The Jump Man, Fred Sanford. I didn't miss that. I didn't miss Good Times, I also didn't miss Mary Tyler Moore. Like, I watched everything. So, I am really excited to see Marlo Thomas come back and do a Christmas movie with Hallmark. Okay, so I'm very excited about that. Now moving on to the next piece of news. Amazon Prime. Now, Amazon Prime, let me tell you, Amazon is on it. They've got like a lot going on this year. You've probably heard a lot about the big controversy about the Lord of the Rings. Is sequel or prequel? But yeah, lots going on because of that diversity there. All I'll say is I have friends. I haven't seen the series myself. I've watched all the movies, of course. I haven't seen this new series, but I have a lot of friends who have watched the series and have read the books thoroughly, and they say that all that diversity is actually in the books. People who are complaining about the diversity probably have not read the books. So if you feel some kind of way about that, read the books first, because it actually follows what the books actually say. With that said, Amazon Prime's coming out with nothing. Now, they had Candy Cane Lane with the Eddie Murphy one I talked to you about in the last episode. They've also got Red One coming out. 8 stars, Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, and Kiernan Shipka. Kiernan played in Let It Snow, which was absolutely one of my favorite Christmas movies on Netflix. I loved that movie and did not think I was going to love it as much as I love it, and I absolutely love it. That's going to be one of the ones. Jingle Jangle and Let It Snow are going to be ones that I watch when I have some downtime every year. If I don't have a Christmas movie to watch, I'm going to watch those two. I love them. I love them both. Anyway, so needless to say, Amazon isn't playing around. They're coming out with the heavy hitters this year. Eddie Murphy in Candy Cane Lane, and then Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans. Come on, man. You know Chris Evans, man. That's Captain America, right? So they had Dwayne Johnson and Captain America. The Rock and Captain America. Okay. Major. So I will say this. Amazon is spending some money, and they are actually doing some big things. I remember when Amazon Studios just kind of got kicked off. And, you thought, I just never knew they were going to do this big budget stuff. I always knew they were going to do kind of streamer or, kind of compete with Netflix kind of stuff. But Netflix, Amazon Prime, everybody's kind of outdoing themselves. So I'm really excited to see what's coming up next. But for Christmas, gotta love them. I'll be watching those. Those are 2 movies that will be on my must-watch list. Red One, which I know is not a Christmas romantic comedy, but okay. And then Candy Cane Lane. I'll be excited to see both of those. All right. And my next piece of news, I have a lot of news today. A Cinderella story. I don't know if you guys remember the original Cinderella story with Hilary Duff and Chad Michael Murray, right? I love that movie. I watched it a gazillion times. Every time it comes on TV or something, I will always pause and watch that one just because I loved it so much. But anyway, they've done sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. There's been a gazillion Cinderella movies that have come out after that. Well, they've got another one coming out. A Cinderella Story, A Christmas Wish. Yet another. This is in direct lineage of the original Cinderella story. Okay, this movie will star Laura Marano and Greg Sulkin. Definitely it kind of looks more like a Latina version of the story. So I'm excited to see that. All right, another piece of news. Lifetime Christmas movie collections. I can tell you I'm going to buy one of these. I think I'm going to get the 50 movie set because, it only feels right to get as many as I possibly can. But they're coming out. So Lifetime is releasing or has released a few Christmas movie sets. They have one 12 movie set, which is called A Very Merry Movie Collection, Volume 3, and it includes recent TV Christmas movie releases from Lifetime, including Holiday in Santa Fe, we know, with Mario Lopez, A Fiancé for Christmas, Under the Christmas Tree, which is currently right now on my DVR because it is so good. That is one of those LGBTQ movies, but it is so good. Mistletoe in Montana, with Melissa, love that one. I didn't think I was gonna like that one. I went into that one thinking, yeah, and loved it. Merry Little Christmas Baby, of course we know about that one. Okay, so and then those are some of the key movies in Volume 3. In Volume 4, some of the key movies include The Holiday Fix-Up with the nanny. That's the one with the nanny. When she fixed up her son, I think, with the guy. Very cute movie. Another LGBTQ movie. A Christmas Dance Reunion. That one's the one that harkened back to High School Musical, which I loved. Loved that movie. Did not think I was going to love it as much as I love it, and loved it. Reba McEntire's Christmas in Tune. How I love Reba. I'm just saying. I'm becoming the next level of Barbara Jean when it comes to Reba. I just love her so much. And then Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas, another movie where I went into it and I was like, meh, I'm not real super excited about it, and then end up absolutely loving it and want to see it over and over again. So 2 12 movie sets, Volume 3, Volume 4. Then they came out with the big 50 movie set, which I think includes like everything in Volume 3 and everything in Volume 4. And then they add to some additional movies, including Feliz Navidad, the other one with Mario Lopez that I love. I wasn't so crazy about the one that came out last year, but Feliz Navidad I love. All 3 Merry Little Christmas movies. Radio Christmas with Keisha Knight Pulliam. Remember that one? Under the Christmas Tree, I told you guys that one was still on my DVR. Twinkle All the Way, which I loved. Christmas 9 to 5 with Tia Sakar. Now, I love everything Christmas that she did, love. Christmas a la mode with Katie Leclerc. And you guys know how much I love that. That was on one of my top 10 movie lists. Snowed In with Bethany Joy Lenz and Andrew Walker. One of my top 10 list overall, favorite movies ever. Loved it. A Storybook Christmas with Ali Liebert and Jake Epstein. And let me just tell you, Jake Epstein is quickly rising the ranks in my favorite holiday leading men. I'm sorry, he really is just up there. I just love him and just about everything that he does. So I was really excited to hear about that Christmas collection. So I think I am going for the 50 movie set. Now it is on sale for, I think that it's regularly priced at $69.98, but the last time I looked on Walmart.com, it was on sale for $49.96. So that's like $1 a movie. I mean, you're never going to get a better price than that. Well, you might get a better price at Black Friday, but barring Black Friday, that's a super good price. So I feel like I need to just embrace Christmas and go ahead and get that whole collection. Now, there were a few movies missing, and I think when I actually see these, I'm going to have to get these in a collection. A few of the movies that I was missing from the collections that I saw. The Christmas Exchange, okay? That was kind of like the trading Christmas for a Lifetime. 4 Christmases and a Wedding with Marky Post, who passed away, sad, but I love that movie. Candy Cane Christmas, Christmas on the Menu, A Gift Wrap Christmas, Wrapped Up in Christmas. Actually, none of the Tatiana Ali movies were on the collections that I saw, so I was kind of sad about that. Very sad. So I'm looking for another collection. Hey, Lifetime, if you're out there listening, I am looking for a collection with those movies in them, okay? And if you put out one with those in them, like if you added like 15 movies to the 50 movie set to make it like a 65 movie set with all those movies in it, like it would be an easy buy for me. All right. Next up in the news is Luke McFarlane. I have to talk about Luke for a minute because I love Luke so much. And so many people out there, I think, love Luke too, right? So I saw too many, like, I get my Google alerts. And every time pretty much Luke gives an interview, like I get some Google alert if Hallmark is mentioned in it. And so he was signaling that he's not doing any more movies for Hallmark. And I was like, no, that can't be, because I have loved his movies for a long time. So from what I understand, like he's doing this full feature movie. It's a rom-com called Bros, which is coming out on September 30th. So that'll be sometime in this coming week, next Friday, right? Based on the trailer, right, it looks super funny. I mean, to me, if you could comfortably watch Single All the Way, you'll be able to watch Bros, right? That's how I feel, right? So news to some, not to me, but he's openly gay, and behind the scenes, so maybe he was kind of more open than not, but to fans, unless you really kind of took the time to look or you had some curiosity about it, I mean, you just wouldn't have suspected, right? Because the movies that he's done, right? Think about it. If you thought they reflected his life, right? I mean, you're talking about so I remember him playing in like The Memory Book. This is the first thing I saw him in, with Megan Ori from Chesapeake Shores, right? And I think Paul Kaufman directed it. And it was memorable to me for a few reasons, but I loved him in that movie. Loved him. But always in the back of my mind, sometimes you just get a feeling about people. And I always suspected he and Jonathan Bennett were gay. And never had a problem with it. I love them. They're both great actors to me. Good acting is good acting. I don't care about your sexuality, right? It doesn't matter. It's like, what do you do when you show up for work? And so to me, I loved them both. So I had my suspicions, but I don't speculate on if other people don't. So the fact that he started being more kind of open with his sexuality wasn't a big surprise to me. And frankly, after he did Single All the Way, if he was going to have backlash from Hallmark, I would suspect it would have come after that, right? But he was invited back to do more Hallmark movies, right? I don't know. So his statements kind of confused me. But what I suspect maybe he'd like to do is kind of follow in Jonathan's footsteps, right? JB, as I will affectionately call him, Jonathan Bennett, JB, got to do Christmas House 1 and 2, Made to Order, Wedding of a Lifetime with Brooke D'Orsay, if you guys watch that. So I don't know. I personally think, and I get this, right? Especially as a Black woman in corporate America, I get I think he wants to bring his whole self to work and do movies that reflect who he is, like all of who he is, right? And personally, I think, Hallmark can handle 2 gay guys on the network, openly gay guys on the network. More than that, they can certainly handle, but certainly 2, right? And if you loved him and you watched all of his movies, especially the Christmas ones, Christmas in My Heart, A Shoe Addict's Christmas, one of the non-Christmas movies, The Birthday Wish, which I told you, the movie he did with Jesse Schramm, one of my all-time favorite just rom-coms from Hallmark, period. So everything he's done, I pretty much love. So I wish him well no matter what he does. And if he doesn't come back, I wish him well. But I hope Hallmark has him back. And I hope that if Hallmark has him back, that he will come back. And that I hope that if he comes back, that he is able to bring his whole self to work. So that is all I have to say about that. All right, and so my last bit of news today before I get into the Christmas movie updates, which I know is what you guys really want to hear. The Crown. So I have to talk about The Crown, right? Because of the timing of the release. So, I don't know about you. I am a Crown head, like, no pun intended. I am, but I love The Crown. It's like one of my favorite series ever. Like, that's one I go back to and I can watch repeatedly and it never feels old to me or redone or overdone. I love it. The acting is stellar. The writing is phenomenal. If you're a writer, then you love good writing. And to me, The Crown is just some of the most top-notch writing, right? Love it. So, anyway, The Crown is set to debut Season 5 on November 9th. Did you hear what I said? November 9th. Right in the smack middle of when most networks and streamers will be gearing up to show the slate of new Christmas movies. Right? Indeed, Lindsay Lohan's movie, Falling for Christmas, is set to debut on the 11th, 2 days after they're supposed to show Season 5 of The Crown. Now, I'm going to have to do some major juggling because The Crown is an all-day binge for me. Like, when they release it, I watch every bit of it. I hope they don't, trickle them out. I hope they just release the whole season so I can watch all the way through. Because, honestly, I will take off work. You didn't hear that. If anybody works in my company, you didn't hear me say that, but I will. I will take off a whole day of work to sit and watch The Crown. I'm just saying. And we've entered, if you know The Crown, we've entered the Diane and Charles era. We've entered the William and Harry, the beginning of the William and Harry era. So there's so much going on. And with the death of Queen Elizabeth, I really want to rewatch the whole thing. I really want to rewatch the whole thing. But that, of course, is going to interfere with my Christmas movie stuff. So I'm telling you this, if you're a Crown head, just prepare in advance for some juggling, because you're going to have to do it in order to watch the entire season and also juggle all the new Christmas movies that are going to be coming out during that week, because there's going to be a lot coming out. It's just going to be a lot. Even as I think about it now, it's a struggle, but I wish they would come out with it a little sooner while we have time, and while we're not in the middle of Christmas movie season. But, it comes when it comes. And on a side note, I would just like to say, the original Prince Philip from The Crown is now on the House of Dragon. I forget the actor's name, but he was phenomenal as Prince Philip, and he is phenomenal. He's like the guy you hate to love and love to hate in the House of Dragons. I love him. I just love. He's one of the best actors out there right now. I mean, he just is killing that role. So, if you haven't watched, I don't know if you're Game of Thrones. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan too, and House of Dragons. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan, House of Dragons fan, and a Crown fan, all the big TV shows I've watched, The Sopranos, The Wire. To me, The Crowns, that's all up there. Uh, Game of Thrones, they're all up there in like the same fighting class, right? And yeah, so if you liked him as the Prince Philip, you will love him in House of Dragons. He's killing it on there. All right, so moving on. Now it's time for the Christmas movie network preview news. Guys, can you believe this? We only have 4 weeks before the Christmas marathon of movies begins. I say probably maybe just slightly over 3 weeks, because I think, like I said, Lifetime, if Lifetime does what it did last year, it will quietly jump out early. They won't like announce it, but if you look ahead on your, if you look forward on your TV guide, on your, like if you have Verizon or whatever, and you can look ahead a couple weeks, I do believe in 2 weeks that I'll start seeing the Christmas movies pop up. It won't be all day marathon that when they really start, but you will see a trickle of Christmas movies that start to show up. So I'm really excited about that. All right, so let's get into it. 4 weeks, and finally Hallmark has released their list. So Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, they have announced that they are releasing 40 movies this season. I think that's a step down from their high, which is 41. Next week, I am doing a diversity day, so I'm not going to go in depth this week on some of the movies. But guess what? They got of course, they're continuing the Hanukkah tradition, which I think has happened over like the last 3 years. They've had like a movie each year that's kind of touched on Hanukkah. Well, guess what? Now they got a Kwanzaa movie coming out. So again, what I anticipate from this season, Hallmark's going to come out of the gate early. Their Fall into Love, their autumn programming, is my second favorite after Countdown to Christmas. It's scheduled to end on October 16th. Last year, Lifetime squeezed a few movies in early, as I just told you guys, but not all day. They showed a few in the evenings. I think they're going to follow the same path this week, and I think that Hallmark's probably going to follow in the same path, right? But the first premiere is due Friday, October 21st. With Noel Next Door, starring Natalie Hall and Corey Sevier. So I'm super excited about that one. Very excited. That one looks good. It kind of reminds me of that one with Fiona Gubelman. What's her name? Fiona. You know who I'm talking about, Fiona. My mom would say she has fat hair. She has that like glorious, thick, long blonde hair. And the guy who left, he was on Chesapeake Shores. You see the names are not coming to me. I have not had enough coffee this morning, but that one, Christmas Next Door, is what the name of the movie was. So Noel Next Door, it kind of reminds me of that movie. So you can kind of see the pattern there. They changed the storyline a little bit, but I'm just saying it just kind of harkens back to that for me. Saturday, October 22nd, We Wish You a Married Christmas, starring Marisol Nichols and Christopher Palaha, who we know I love. Now, preseason, they've been calling this movie Christmas Disconnect, right? They've obviously changed the name. We Wish You a Married Christmas. I loved Christopher, of course, A Dickens of a Holiday, A Double Holiday, which was kind of one of those first ones that kind of hit on Hanukkah. And Marisol Nichols, I loved her as the mom in Holly and Ivy. And then she was also in Christmas CEO. So I'm really excited to see them in that premiere weekend, right? And then on Sunday, October 23rd, so they're coming in with the 1, 2, 3 punch, A Kismet Christmas, starring Sarah Ramos and Carlo Marks and Mary Lou Henner. So I'm very excited to see that one. And I love to see those stars. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of the descriptions of the shows and the movies because of an upcoming episode that I want to make sure that I don't kind of overstep. But let's just say that they're coming out big for the first weekend with 1, 2, 3, with the 1, 2, 3 hit in the movies. Now, a few of the other movies that I'm looking forward to seeing on Hallmark over the holiday season. Lights, Camera, Christmas stars one of my favorites, Kimberly Susted, and then John Brotherton. Very excited about that. And it's so cute. I love this. It kind of reminds me of a Christmas movie, Christmas, on UpTV. Lights, Camera, Action is about a holiday rom-com being filmed and the star. So anyways, long story short, but Kimberly Susted is in that one. So she's coming back after doing the 9 Lives of Christmas and the 9 Kittens of Christmas. So I love her. That, and then of course she did all the things with Paul Campbell, and she did the Godwings. They're not doing a Godwink this year. I just realized that. Wow, that just hit me. So no Godwinks this year. Well, not that I've seen so far. So anyway, interesting. But I love Kimberly Susted. If you love her too, look out for Lights, Camera, Christmas in November. Also coming up, 3 Wise Men and a Baby, starring the big 3. Okay, Paul Campbell, Tyler Hines, and Andrew Walker in the same movie. Come on, man. And we know 3 Men and a Baby. We know that movie from, like, I want to say it's the 80s, the early 90s maybe. Love that movie, but 3 Wise Men and a Baby, I'm super excited to see how they do that. That's going to be exciting. And then I think towards the Thanksgiving weekend, we have Haul Out the Holly with Lacey Chabert, Wes Brown, Ellen Travolta, Peter Jacobson, Melissa Peterman, who I just talked about, Barbara Jean. And so Barbara Jean is going to be in Haul Out the Holly. I'm excited to see that. And we know I love Barbara Jean. I love Barbara Jean as much, well, not as much as I love Reba, but almost as much as I love Reba. So I'm really excited to see her on that. And then also on the Thanksgiving weekend, I think, is A Christmas Cookie Catastrophe with Rachel Boston and Victor Webster. So also 2 of my favorites. Like, they're really pulling out all the stops. To me, Hallmark is, with the stars that have not left the channel. I mean, they're really, positioning them well to do well during this holiday season. So I'm excited about that. And then another movie I'm excited to see is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas with Tori DeVito. Well, I love Tori from way back, and then Zane Holtz. So that one is going to be, like, I think around the final weekend of new movies for the Hallmark Channel in December. Okay, they've also got a couple of other ones that I wanted to talk about. A Jolly Good Christmas with Will Kemp. I love Will Kemp. I will talk a little bit more about this movie during Diversity Day. So I'm excited. I'm not going to get into a whole lot, but I have to say, this movie was kind of giving me the 12 Gifts of Christmas, a gift wrap Christmas vibes, right? I'm really kind of excited to see how that actually turns out, but that's what I'm getting from it. And then A Christmas Spectacular. I kind of had to talk about this one. So, this is the movie that's set in 1958. And then this woman puts her wedding plans on hold to chase her dream of becoming a rockette, right? And she lands in a spot in the show and falls for a guy, right? Now, one thing I'll say about this, I saw the previews, right? And they've got this beautiful, dark-skinned African-American woman in the Rockettes in the 1950s, okay? I distinctly remember, and I'm saying this because I feel like it's worth at least looking at the actual history of it, right? Which is, the actual Rockettes didn't get their first black Rockette until I distinctly remember this. I was old enough to remember when it happened. It was in 1987. That was the year I graduated high school. You could do the math on that. But anyway, I remember when they got the first Rockette, and then I remember her being very light skinned and like not really standing out a lot. So they may have dark women now, but I think there were very light black women for a long time. So historically, the show is not that accurate, and I think it's going to jump out at everybody like it did me. But I do look forward to seeing the story, and I do feel like, I'm just going to watch the movie for the sake of watching the movie, right? And enjoying a movie and watching a holiday movie. But if you want to know more about the historical accuracy, just Google it. You can Google it. You don't have to curse Hallmark out about it. I think they get it. I understand why they cast the movie this way, but just go Google the history. Maybe that's just a time where you can reach out and learn something new. Anyway, then the last one I want to talk about for the Hallmark Channel was A Christmas Village with Luke McFarlane and Allison Sweeney and the Marlo Thomas, right? I think I talked about that earlier. That girl actually coming out with the movie. So I'm excited about that one. So Hallmark, 2 thumbs up on your lineup so far. And like I said, I'm going to talk a lot more about Diversity Day, where a lot of the movies are falling. And you guys know, I've been doing Diversity Day for like 3 years now. And this is the most movies that I can really highlight in Diversity Day. It is stunning, the number of movies that are having diverse characters. And when I say diverse, I don't just mean black. I mean, the interracial couples, Asian, religiously diverse, LGBTQ plus, everything in that realm to me falls in Diversity Day. And there's just so many movies out there now. Like Diversity Day, I don't know. Hopefully I can do it in one day, but it might be a part 1 and part 2 because there's so many movies out there. Okay, now let's get to Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. So again, stellar lineup, but I did want to call out a few. One is A Maple Valley Christmas. My man, Andrew Walker, I love him. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. To me, he is truly one of the Hallmark kings of Christmas, certainly. And then Christmas Bedtime Stories. So who do we have coming back for that one? Aaron Cahill and Steve Lund. We know these are Hallmark veterans, right? So I'm very excited to see them on that. And then time for him to come home for Christmas. Another in the line of the time. Hey, all y'all, it's time for all y'all to come home for Christmas. I'm waiting for that movie. Everybody come home for Christmas. There's another one in that line. So I'm happy to see it because now, for all my joking about it, they're all good. But Blake Shelton is obviously executive producing. And I think it's like the 5th installment in that series. So I'm happy to see that. Then The Gift of Peace. And I want to say it was called The Art of Letting Go, I think, before. And now I think they've come up with the final title, which is The Gift of Peace, which is starring Nikki DeLoach and Brennan Elliott. And this kind of centers around a story around people who get together who are grieving Lord, I can relate to that. So I'm really excited to see that. expect that to be, fully expect that to be sappy and sad and, comforting maybe, kind of, uplifting at the end, but definitely have some sappy moments in it. So, but I have decided this year, guys, for everything that I think is going to be too sappy, now I'm just going to watch it, because what I have found out is that what I have in my head, what I imagine, is never as sappy as what it is in reality. I learned my lesson about that through the movie that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, which is 5 More Minutes. So, but 5 More Minutes is coming out too, so I think it's going to be like the time for all y'all to come home for Christmas movies. Because now they have 5 More Minutes, a sequel, 5 More Minutes, Moments Like These, starring Ashley Williams, who I love, and Lucas Bryant, who I also love. Okay, so I'm very excited to see them, but again, I do think 5 More Minutes may end up becoming, the second in the line of the all y'all, it's time for all y'all to come home for Christmas. So I'm excited about it. And with Ashley, I mean, you cannot go wrong. You just can't go wrong. So I'm really excited about that. So those are the highlights of the Hallmark movies coming out. Hallmark Movies and Mysteries and Hallmark Channel. Up next, UpTV finally released their slate for the Christmas season, and they have come out with more movies than ever. 17, count them, 17 movies this season. I think it's the most of any season that I've seen since watching UpTV. And their slate includes 2 reality series. One is like my St. Nick shout outs, but I was doing my shout outs first. I'm just saying. Anyway, so programming on UpTV begins November 4th. Now keep in mind, everything centers around The Crown, which starts the 9th. But November 4th, UpTV starts their programming. The 4th, 5th, and 6th, they come out with their first 3 movies. And of course, I think with the exception of Thanksgiving weekend, they'll probably release one every Sunday, like they do with their other romantic comedies during the regular season. Now, looking at their list of movies, to me, it feels geared more towards kind of the millennial Generation Z set, but I'm definitely looking forward to see them. I have to be honest, though, about UpTV. They lost me a little bit when they kind of abandoned their no cookie cutter Christmas movies, like A Season's Greeting, which is one of my absolute favorites from that network, and then Christmas on the Coast, another one of my absolute favorites. But those were not cookie cutter Christmas movies, and I just feel like that was like the right way to go. They didn't stick with that long enough. So anyway, what they've done is they've kind of they've morphed into this like early Hallmark network, right? What Hallmark used to be. Well, even Hallmark evolved from that. So I don't know that that's the right direction, but it's not for me to say. It's for them to do. But regardless, they still have a lot of really good movies that looks like it's coming out, and they've got these stars that have been on Hallmark, on Lifetime, popular from other networks, coming in to do movies for them. So I'm really excited to see a few of these. One is The Christmas Retreat, starring Rhiannon Fish and Clayton James. Now, Rhiannon Fish has done so many movies for Hallmark over the past, I don't know, I want to say the past 2 years, right? I want to say it's like three or four movies that she's done. And I know she's also done one for UpTV. And like her movie from UpTV and the one from Hallmark premiered in the same weekend. Like she was all over the place. So she seems to be becoming a very popular actress to feature. And I love her, like her acting, her personality to me, very girl next door-ish. So I love her. So I look forward to seeing the Christmas retreat with her. That's November 11th, right? So that's the same day that Lindsay Lohan's movie Falling for Christmas comes out. But I'm going to squeeze both of those in. And then another Hallmark favorite, The Picture of Christmas, starring Chelsea Hobbs. You remember Chelsea? And Giles, I don't know how he pronounces his name, Giles Panton, but you know he's that the always kind of starred as the other guy in Hallmark movies. You know, the guy that eventually gets dumped. But Chelsea Hobbs, I distinctly remember the first thing I remember her from, which is the 9 Lives of Christmas, where she played the girlfriend, the model girlfriend who eventually got dumped for Kimberly Susted. But so I love her, but I know she's been on multiple Hallmark movies. I know she's been in Hallmark movies and mysteries. I know she's been in Lifetime movies, and I love her everywhere she is. So I'm really excited to see her actually star in like a Christmas movie on UpTV. I think she starred in one on Lifetime last year, but now she's going to be on UpTV. So I'm excited to see her do that. And then of course on UpTV they have Gilmore the Merrier for all the Gilmore Girl fans. Me, I'm one of those. And then they have the Small Town Christmas, which I told you is kind of like the St. Nick shout outs. Only they have actual film and a host. What I hope to do in the future, but I have not. Maybe I'll start next year as I've kind of started traveling again. I've had to travel for work. I'm kind of excited. So I've been to the middle of the country 2 times within less than a month of each other. One time I went to Missouri. The other time I went to Nebraska and Omaha. So I'm looking forward to taking more trips to the middle and doing my Christmas bucket list. All right. Next, so that was UpTV. So I've done UpTV and I've done Hallmark. Next up is HBO Max. HBO Max is coming out with 4 movies this year. 4 Christmas movies this year. I'm so excited about this. Now, the home of the House of Dragons, Game of Thrones, all of this, they're coming out with 4 Christmas movies this year. So the first one, the legendary Christmas Story sequel, that's coming out November 17th. So A Christmas Story Christmas is coming out. It's a sequel to A Christmas Story. If you don't know that movie, I don't know what kind of rock you've been hiding under, because like this is one movie they will show over and over again on marathons in certain channels, right? Where they would just show the Christmas Story repeatedly all day long, and that people will watch it like a gazillion times. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you're going to have multiple opportunities. Anyway, the sequel is coming out on HBO Max, so I'm very much looking forward to that. A Holiday Harmony is coming out November 24th, so I think this is going to be around Thanksgiving week. Brooke Shields, she's one of my absolute faves. She was on Hallmark Mystery. She had her own Flower Shop Mysteries, I want to say. And she also played in The Middle. I remember she played this kind of bit role in The Middle. She was hilarious in that show. I loved her in a flower shop mysteries. It's a flower store. Nah, I don't think it's store. I think it's shop. Flower Shop Mysteries on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. Anyway, she's playing with Jeremy Sumpter and Annalise Sapero, Holiday Harmony on HBO Max. And then A Christmas Mystery, literally, it's called A Christmas Mystery. It's coming up on November 24th. So I think HBO Max is releasing all of their Christmas movies on November 24th. I think that's what the deal is. All except one. Let's put it that way. And then, so we have Christmas Mystery with Violet McGraw, Eddie Cibrian, Christopher Sanders, Drew Pyle, Lauren Lindsay Donzis, Donzis, sorry about that, and Beau Bridges, who I love. I think everybody knows Beau Bridges. So I'm very excited to see that. And then, last but not least, A Hollywood Christmas, starring Jessica Vann, Josh Swickard, Missi Pyle, Anissa Borrego. So I am very excited to see their slate of movies. I think I will not miss one. But you know, if there's only one that I watch, well, there'll be two that I watch. The sequel, Christmas Story sequel, and Holiday Harmony with Brooke Shields. You know, I'm not going to miss those two. All right. So the next one on my list is TV One. Now, I've gotten word about a couple of movies there. I'm really going to talk about these more in Diversity Day, and I'm hoping that they will have released more news, but I know of at least 2 movies coming up for TV One, so I'm excited about them. And one of them comes from one of my author friends who's so I'll talk about that more in Diversity Day. I'll save it for Diversity Day. OWN TV has said they're coming out with 2 movies this year. I will talk more detail about them in Diversity Day. But one is A Christmas Fumble, and the other one is The Great Holiday Bake War. So I am excited about both of those. They will be December releases. So OWN is, and that's kind of been OWN's tradition, right? They kind of, you guys do whatever you're going to do in November. We're coming out in December, right before Christmas. So they're coming out with that. VH1. Last year, VH1 had like 4 movies. This year, from the news I'm saying, you know, maybe 3 or 4 again. These are not cookie cutter Christmas movies. So if, you know, that's the thing, they may have picked up from what UpTV dropped, which is not cookie cutter Christmas movies. Adventures in Christmasing from last year is still on my DVR this year. I might watch it today, as a matter of fact. That was one of my favorites. I think that was on my top 12 favorites of last year. And so I did confirm that one movie is coming out, and it's called Forget About It Christmas, right? It's an Italian-American Christmas movie. I think I know of one other channel. I want to say it was either Lifetime or Hallmark that is also coming out with an Italian-American Christmas movie. But this one stars Justina Valentine, and I saw an interview with her where she was actually doing a radio show interview, and she talked about this movie. She is one of the oldest guests on Nick Cannon's Wilding Out. And from what I understand, and from what she said, Nick Cannon will have a cameo in that movie. So I am really excited to see Forget About It Christmas. And from what I understand, like, she kind of wrote and funded and all of this, and it got picked up by VH1. So I'm really excited to see what that one's all about. The next channel, so that's VH1. So maybe we're thinking about 3 or 4 movies from VH1. We'll see when the actual list comes out. Comedy Central again. So last year they had a Clusterfuck Christmas. It was a parody of Christmas movies, and it was one of my favorites from the season. Rachel Dratch and Anna Gasteyer. Now, I remember saying, I don't know who Anna Gasteyer is in my previous episode, but yes, I do know her from SNL. So, sorry, that was my menopause menopause brain speaking on my behalf. I do know who Anna Gasteyer is. Anyway, so they're not doing, kind of one of those movies this year, but what they are doing is Reno 911. It's a Wonderful Heist. Per Wendy McClendon Covey. She is the one who dropped the news on that one. So I am if you know anything about Reno 911, that's a funny show. I'm really excited to see what they do with this one. So Reno 911, It's a Wonderful Heist. That's going to be coming out. Then, three more networks to cover. AMC Plus. I am too excited. This is going to be one of my must-watch movies for this year. Christmas with the Campbells. Christmas with the Campbells. Okay, for a lot of reasons, but when you hear the stars and then you hear who's directing it, you're going to be like, yeah, I gotta watch that too. Okay. So the stars of Christmas with the Candles. This is on AMC Plus. I have a subscription already that I didn't cancel from last year. Yeah, I know. I said I was going to cancel. I didn't. So I'll be watching this before I cancel at a minimum, right? So Brittany Snow from Pitch Perfect. Justin Long. We know who Justin Long is. That's my girl's ex-boyfriend. I can't remember her name. You know what I'm talking about. She has her own talk show now. But He's Just Not That Into You. I think that was the last big thing he did. Alex Moffat from Saturday Night Live. Julia Duffy, who has done both Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies. George Wendt from Cheers, who has done both Lifetime and Hallmark Christmas movies, I think. And then Joanna Garcia Swisher, who we know from Sweet Magnolias, Reba, and then she's done movies for Hallmark, right? Produced by Vince Vaughn, who I love. I think, one time he was married to, or at least dating Jennifer Aniston, right? I think dating, maybe not married to. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Directed by Claire Niederprum. Okay, I hope I pronounced her name right. Sorry if I butchered it, but I think she's got a whole bunch of Hallmark creds under her belt with her pen pal with Mallory Jansen, one of my favorites. I called it on the 12th day of Christmas with her. I said she's going to be a Hallmark regular. And look, she's coming out with her own Hallmark movie and mysteries detective series coming out today. So I called it. That's all I want to say on that one. But she also directed One December Night, Holiday for Heroes, The Christmas Bow, and As Luck Would Have It with Joanna Garcia Swisher. So they're billing this as kind of a Christmas romance with adult language. So if you don't like to hear adult language, it's not for you. Definitely skip it. And, Vince has always had kind of a potty mouth. I love that about him. You may not. So it is what it is. But I am super excited. This is lined up as being one of my most anticipated watches. I have more to say about that. The most anticipated watch list. But for me, this is going to be one of my favorites. I know it's going to be good, and I know I'm going to love it. Okay. BET Plus. I will talk more about what's going to be on Diversity Day, but Neo, if you know Neo's music, Neo is going to be, to me, and this is kind of the Black author thing and also the Black music thing, right? But I love Neo as a singer, right? I know he's had a lot of personal issues, but I do love his music. Anyway, Booker T. Madison, who I want to say, I remember he's a Black author who wrote a book. So he, I guess, helped direct this movie, and he wrote the script. And then executive producer Tressa Azarel Smallwood. Now, Azarel is a big Black author, best-selling Black author. And then the movie itself is an adaptation of The Replacement Wife by best-selling author Tiffany L. Warren, who is one of my author friends, and we are Facebook friends as well. So I am super excited about this movie. Now we'll talk a little bit more about it on Diversity Day. Very excited about it. Okay, Apple Plus TV. Okay, so Apple Plus TV is coming out with the big one. Now, not a holiday romance Christmas rom-com thing, but certainly one you're going to want to catch, called Spirited. Okay, it's a modern musical rendition of the Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol. Okay, now it is directed by Sean Anders and will star Will Ferrell, hello, Ryan Reynolds, hello, Octavia Spencer, hello, and some other people. I'm just kidding. Now, Patrick Page, Sunita Mani, Lauren Woods, Joe Tippett, Marlo Barkley, and Jen Tulloch. So I'm very excited about this movie. And apparently, if you like La La Land, which I love, you guys probably don't know, I'm the hugest musical buff, there aren't a lot of musicals out there that I have not seen. And I mean, going from way back, like Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire. I go back that far with musicals. Gigi, Brigadoon. Brigadoon. Did you hear what I said? I've seen it all. There's not much I haven't seen. So when I hear musical, I hear Carla's gonna watch it 100 times over and over again, like I did La La Land. And apparently some of the people who created musical numbers for La La Land also supported Spirited. So enough said, I will be seeing it. Jingle Jangle, Netflix, musical. Hello, Mama's seen it a million times. Spirited, I imagine, will be right on that list. So if you're like me and you are a musical buff and you love your musicals, put this on your list. Spirited. It is expected to be in theaters on November 11th and on Apple TV on November 18th. I will be watching it. By then, I will have finished watching The Crown, and I can fit all the other stuff into my schedule. Okay, that's it for the network news that I have. I've got Diversity Day coming up, but before I get into kind of my wrap up, I am going to take a quick break and come back with my thoughts on 5 more minutes. Okay, so stay tuned. Quick break, 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to close out the show. All right, I'll be right back.
Now available on paperback and an ebook, the hilarious romantic comedy The 12 Days of Christmas by USA Today best-selling author K.L. Brady. Both recovering from heartbreak, Gabby and Dave fall for each other after Dave sends a misdirected text message to the wrong woman. It's a comedy of errors when they try to meet face to face. Murphy's Law strikes and they may never see or speak to each other again. However, Gabby thinks Dave may be the one, so she accepts the mission to unite them before Christmas Day. Now she's got 8 days and 12 Daves to find the man of her dreams. But Dave is hiding something. 3 big things. Even if Gabby finds him, will his secrets keep them apart? Rediscover all the joy and wonder of the Christmas season when you pick up this heartwarming story today. To find out more about the 12 Days of Christmas, visit klbradyauthor.com or pick up your copy at Amazon, Apple, Kobo, or Barnes & Noble today. And now it's time for Chicks on Christmas Flicks.
And welcome back to Chicks on Christmas Flicks. So I started out talking about all the upcoming TV Christmas movies on your favorite networks and streamers, part 2, right? So you got to go back and listen to part 1. Now I'm going to talk about a movie from last season that I was so nervous about watching, but I caught it during Christmas in July, and I'm so glad that I did. 5 more minutes. And I'm going to go over this because it's a lesson learned. Hopefully it will help some of you out there be more open to what you watch. Okay? So it's not totally my fault. The previews made the movie look sad, right? The holidays are rough for me already without adding sadness to it. So I'm very careful about what I watch, okay? But that being said, during Christmas in July, I finally watched 5 More Minutes with Nikki DeLoach and David Hayden Jones. And he was coming back to the network after a little break, and I loved him. Like, Dear Santa, like, we go way back. So I was excited to see that in the movie, but I was kind of hesitant to actually watch it. The last movie I saw with David Hayden Jones, I think, was Bramble House. One of my favorites is A Cookie Cutter Christmas, right? So I love that. Anyway, so 5 More Minutes. So Clara wishes she had more time with her late grandfather at Christmas. That's Nikki DeLoach's character, right? Her holiday wish seems to come true as she comes across his journal and looks back on her time with him. Separately, Clara's mom, Bonnie, is over her head. She's in over her head with this candy cane confectionery, right? The business records, the cooking tools, the office space, everything's like hotmess.com, right? So Claire decides to come in and help her mom, and then they advertise for help. And within minutes of posting this helpline sign on the door, this guy, Jay, appears and convinces her to hire him, right? And he says that he had asked the grandfather for a job a year before. And so anyway, they give Jay the job. Jay is a godsend. He takes over deliveries. He gets everything ultra organized. But strange things happen when Jay's around. As he declutters, he finds the grandpa's journal. All of a sudden, things are happening. Discoveries are being made, including Clara running into her old flame, Logan. And then some Christmas magic happens, I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, so about the movie, right? So it was a little sad, but it wasn't too sad. It really made me think about my mom, of course, because anytime I see, a parent or a grandparent pass away, it takes me to my mom and now my grandmother. 5 more minutes. Then I think about what the title says, 5 more minutes. So what would I do if I had 5 more minutes? What would I do? I mean, gosh, what would you say if you had 5 more minutes with that person? So I have to say though, I stayed plugged into that movie into that story from beginning to end. It was super engaging. It was entertaining. It even, I kind of got a chuckle a few times out of it. But it was really good. It's definitely one I will watch again, and I will not be fearful that I'll be too sad to watch it. So on my Christmas scale, I would give it between probably like 4 to 4.5 Christmas trees, which is really good on my scale. But what I want to note to you guys is every time I think a Christmas movie on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries is going to be too sad, it's never too sad, right? So if you think it's going to be too sad, and you take it from somebody who's experienced loss and who's kind of still grieving, right? If it's not too sad for me, it probably won't be too sad for you. So I will say, if you have hesitations about movies because you think you're going to be too sad, just give them a try. That's what I'm going to do this season. So not one time, not once. There might be other reasons why I don't watch a movie, but none of the reasons that I watch a movie will be because I think it's going to be too sad. Now, I think I'm over that, and I'm going to watch movies regardless of how sad I think they're going to be. And so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that is going to do it for me today. Make sure you join me in the next few episodes for more ho 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 holiday news, plus Diversity Day, which is coming up next weekend. And I'm hoping that I'll have some more network streamer news. I'm waiting to hear more about Hulu, Roku, Tubi. I haven't seen anything about them specifically releasing or creating any original content for this Christmas season. But I'd kind of be surprised. They've done so well over the past year or so that I would be surprised not to hear anything. So we'll see it. Maybe they'll acquire something and release it. I don't know. So I'm looking out for that. Also, I have already reached out to Hallmark Enthusiast 247 to both talk about the July, the new Christmas in July movies, and also do our first top 12 most anticipated TV Christmas movies of the season, which will cover the period from the beginning, October, up until Thanksgiving. And then hopefully we'll do a second show that covers from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Okay? So I've asked her about both shows, but we're trying to schedule the first one. So hopefully I can get her scheduled for that. And then that will be coming up for you to listen to the week before the actual Christmas season is due to begin on October 22nd. So sometime between the 16th and the 27th, I'll release that show if we get it done on time. Okay? So I'm really excited about that. I'm making it a top 12 this year because we always struggle. She and I always struggle with 10. So we're going to struggle with 12, but it'll be a little easier. At least we'll be able to squeeze a couple more movies in there. But it's still going to be hard because there's so much content. Anyway, so please stay tuned. So much more coming this season. Thank you to my music and show editor, Will B. He created all the custom music for this show. He's at Wildcard Music, and you can find his IG page in the show notes. Until next time, remember, at Chicks on Christmas Flicks, we can never have too many Christmas movies. We can only have not enough Christmas movies. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review on your favorite platform, and tell your Christmas movie loving friends about the show. Where can you find us? I'm so happy you asked. We are on all podcast platforms: Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. You can find the link to the platforms in the show notes. We are also on Twitter and IG. You can follow us at Chicks on Christmas Flicks with all X's. Thank you for listening in, and I will see you next week for Diversity Day. Yay!